Welcome, welcome one and all. Winter Wizard here. And in this video, I'm going to be showing you how I like to paint lightning claws. Thank you for joining me today, whoever you are, and welcome to this little video of mine where I'm going to be showing you how I like to paint lightning claws. Well, it's cold and lonely here in Winter Wizard's Frozen Fortress. It's night time. Things are winding down here. It's a dark and frosty evening out there, so it's bloody freezing actually. But I've got a nice Hornum yard over there, and I'm joined as always by my friend and co-host Norwegian Troll Dimmu. So this is going to be nice. And as things are winding down for the day, I thought I'd do another installment of winter weather weaponry for you. So, winter weather weaponry, what does that mean? So to quickly explain, winter weather weaponry is a little series, a little painting tutorial series that I'm doing for the war gear of my Space Wolves army, the great company of Frostpaws. And I take what I like to do is with some of the weaponry, some of the war gear, the ones that have got a weather feature featured in their name. So thunder hammers, storm shields, lightning claws, frost weapons. And what I like to do is I've come up with a little colour scheme for each of them, which takes influence, takes inspiration from that weather feature that they're named from. And so that's what I'm going to show you today. Today we're going to be taking a look at lightning claws. So we'll get started in just a moment. I've got a little lightning claw here. This is from a Wolfguard Terminator, I think so. Nice Space Wolves lightning claw there. Already primed it. Used Army Painter spray. Uniform grey. Great spray this. Grey's a really good colour. Really nice sort of middle of the road neutral colour for really great foundation, I always find. And I've got a selection of paints up here as well. We've got some Leadbelcher silver there. Runefang Steel here. I've got some whites, Corax White, and a lighter, sort of more thinner, transparent kind of white. This is from Miniatures Paint. If it was Citadel, I would use White Scar. I just happened to sort of acquire this. There's no real reason why I'm using that instead. And got a nice shade here, Druchi Violet, and we've also got a little bit of gloss varnish here, just to add a nice little bit of sheen to the finished result. So those are all the paints we're going to need. Alright, so we've zoomed in here, we'll get started. So what I'm really painting today is the blades, the real killy element of the weapon, taking strong inspiration from the weather feature it's named from, so lightning claws. So what I'm thinking with this is we're going to try and create some bolts of lightning on these nice blades. Real sort of flashy, shiny sharp lightning blades. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to start with little Leadbelcher. So I'm just going to start by giving this a nice coat, nice smooth coat with the Leadbelcher. And there you go. Nice thin smooth coats. Does the job. Now all over the blades. And let it dry, and if it needs a second coat, do another smooth second layer. Okay, so I've done a couple of layers of Leadbelcher there. Going to bring out another silver, the Runefang Steel. So I want the silver to be quite nice and bright, nice and shiny. Because we're going to be putting some washes on this, and it's going to darken it up a fair bit. So I want the silver shining through quite well. So we've got some Runefang Steel here. I'm going to put that mostly on the tips, but generally the whole length of the silver again. So I'm leaving a sort of little bit darker towards where the blades sit into the hand. But predominantly just giving this a coat of that. Just going to brighten them up nicely. There we go, and when that's dry you can give it just a going to add a little bit more of that just to the ends, just to brighten them up a bit. Make the tips of the lightning bolts nice and bright. So there we go. And then let this dry nice and fully dry, and then we'll move on. We'll start thinking about creating some lightning bolts. So that's the Runefang Steel, nice and dry. I've got the Corax White here, and so what I'm going to do with this, we're going to attempt to draw some lightning bolt shapes. So I'm going to make sure that this is nice and thin. So I get onto my wet palette here. Thin that down with a little bit of water. It's nice and smooth. Good way to test this is if it looks nice and smooth, and then do some lines with it. If it keeps going, it seems to be pretty good. We don't want it too watery, because it will run everywhere, and that'll be messy. We just want it nice and thin and smooth, so we've got good control of it. It's going to run off the brush nicely, but it's not going to go everywhere. So the way I'm going to do this, what I would say is have a little look at some pictures, some bolts of lightning, and get sort of inspired. But the general principle is I'm going to start sort of at the top corner there. Top corner of the blade. Maybe this needs a little bit more in there. Like so. Start with a bit of a sharp squiggle there. Let's go over that again. Like so, making this nice and bold. And going to veer off that way. Sort of jags and sharp squiggles, and then I'm going to sort of let that run the brush just on the sharp edge of the blade there. Just keeps that a nice sharp finish. I think that works well if you can get sort of the design to go and make the tip nice and white. It will look nice and sharp, and it'll look like that's the point of the lightning. There we go. So that's alright. If we take this on top, try and do that again. A little bit of a squiggle. Like that. Just go for the middle one here. I'm sort of dipping the design, scratching it around, sort of the edges and the sides of the blade as well as the top. Do another one here. Hope you can see this alright. It's a little bit, maybe the Runefang was a little bit bright against the white, but it seems to be working alright. Corax White's, it's a nice white. It's very bold, very strong pigment, so this is a good one. There we go. Yeah, it's looking alright. I'll come out and do a sharp point there. That's it really. And then we'll do the one on the edge here. Start in the corner there. Do some nice squiggles out to a point on top. Sort of jagged sharp points. There we go. That's looking alright, I think. And I'm going to put a little bit of white down just on the tips. Maybe just on like one side. So wherever the design goes to a point. You can go underneath and do it under here as well. So I'm trying not to overload this with too much of these squiggles. Just trying to do a couple of strong ones on each blade essentially. Some nice sort of sharp, jagged, sort of lightning bolt inspired sort of bolts there. So I'm going to let that dry. A little bit on that bit there, and let it dry and see what that looks like. And that's the Corax White dry there. We're going to bring out the lighter white. If you've got white scar or any kind of more transparent, lighter coloured white, bring out a little bit of that. And I'm just going to use this to sharpen up those, sharpen up the ends, sharpen up the points, give it a little bit of a brighter white to those bits there, like so. If you want to brighten up any of the bolts that you've done, do it with a little bit of this. Okay. Like so. Any of those little bits, and on this one here. But this is predominantly for the sharpest bits of the bolt. There, and there, and there, and there. Lovely. A little bit on that side there. And put a little bit there. And I think that'll do. So I'm just making sure that those tips are going to be nice and bright. And that'll be the shape of the bolts done, and then we're going to bring a bit of colour into them. We're going to add some Druchi Violet shade, but first we'll make sure that that's nice and fully dry. Okay, so we'll bring out the Druchi Violet here. And what we're going to do with this, we're going to load some of this onto our brush. And we're going to run this over the blades. Give these a nice good wash. And I'm going to run it backwards so that the majority of it pulls towards the tip. Not the tip, sorry, towards the base of the blade. Just wipe some of that a little bit away if you feel like you've gone a little heavy there. And make that darker down there. And leaving it lighter at the top, so you can, like you can see there. So I did sort of wipe just the tips away there. And you can let it pull a little bit more towards the bottom. Make that darker, like so. That's the idea. So we're going to put that over all the different edges of the blades. Sort of wiping it off at the tip there. Getting that nice white point. And letting it get darker towards the base. That's the idea. And this is pretty much it, really. This is just how we do it. This is a simple technique. I didn't particularly want to go through the effort of painstakingly trying to do really intense lightning designs. You know, I've seen some people do videos on those, and they'll be painting a single lightning claw for an hour. So I wanted to come up with something a little bit more, a little quicker, but still effective. And I think this is. I think this is still effective. So yeah. There we go. So you can see the silvery sort of aspect coming through. See the jagged shape of those white lightning bolts. And colouring it all with the purple. A nice flash. Pulling it at the bases. Making that darker. So you can leave this to dry. Then assess the situation. And if you feel like you want to top up a little bit, you know, make these bits a bit darker there, or if you feel like you've gone a little heavy and you want to add a little bit of white back to those those sharp edges. Well, you can do all of that. So I'm going to do that now. I'm going to let this dry and then we'll assess the situation. And here we go then. So this is what we're looking like. I added a little bit of extra wash just onto the sort of the base of the, where it joins the metal, where it joins the arm, the fist of the bolts, just to darken that up, and so it gets darker and it goes out. Starts dark, it gets lighter as it goes out, and I just touched up a little bit of extra white on those tips again, and there we go. And that's it. Yeah, that's all I really do to it. Simple but effective, I think. And but there's one last little thing that we're going to do. I'm going to bring out a little bit of gloss varnish, and we're going to add just a little bit of this, just a smooth coat of gloss varnish onto the blades, just to give them a bit of a shine, sheen. Appreciate you can't really see this, maybe you can't really see this going on at the moment, but it's gonna have a nice finishing touch, a nice effect. There we go. So let that dry. We'll have a final little look at this, and that'll be it. And there we go then, that's the lightning claws all finished there. You can see this sort of purpley, sort of lightning bolty-esque effect there. Like I said, I didn't really want to do try and sit there doing really sort of lifelike looking lightning bolts. It was a bit of a pain in the ceramite that I really didn't want to faff around with, so I came up with a sort of technique that I thought is kind of inspired by lightning, and there we go. That's what I've come up with. So I hope you like it. And, there we go. Simple but effective lightning claws, taking inspiration from the weather feature of lightning. Well, and there we have it then. So that's another installment of Winter Weather Weaponry, where today we had a little look at painting lightning claws with taking an inspiration from lightning. Do keep a lookout for some more installments in this little series, and do check out the episode on painting thunder hammers if you haven't seen that one already. And well, if you have enjoyed the video today, then a like and a comment would be very, very much appreciated. And if you'd like to see more of what goes on here inside the Frozen Fortress, then perhaps you'll also consider becoming a subscriber. And once again, whoever you are, thank you very, very much for joining me today. I'm Winter Wizard, that's Dimmu, and for now, keep it frosty.